There is a madman on the loose, the criminal mastermind known as immortalmochi that created the twisted project known as Blue Lock. In today's video, we will be breaking down just how legal Blue Lock truly is and how many laws Ego possibly broke throughout this series. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get into it. In 2018, on November 18th, the Blue Lock project was created in Japan by immortalmochi, funded by the Japan Football Union. This project was originally pitched as a player improvement program for 300 students across Japan to improve their skills as strikers and create the best striker in the world. With this as the shown intention of the project, parents across the country allowed their children to enter into this project, not knowing the horrors that would come with it. And what I'm about to show you might be disturbing to some audience. Viewers' discretion is advised. Today we will be investigating the stories of the players in the Blue Lock project in an out-of-order sequence of events. These are their stories. In the case of shidou ryusei, we saw disturbing footage of the 18-year-old student playing a match in what the Blue Lock project called its third selection. After the match was done, shidou started to engage in an argument with another player named Rin, and their altercation started to turn physical. This is when Ego shocked shidou with a high-voltage device that he called the anti-riot electrical shock function. This device was placed into the students' bodysuits without their knowledge, and many players were disturbed to find out that this was attached to them without their consent. When questioned about this, Ego claimed that this was for the students' own safety, and if they started to fight each other, then he would be able to control the environment and stop them from fighting immediately. But as our researchers have looked into, electrocution has several negative effects on the body. Some of the short-term effects include burns, loss of consciousness, irregular heartbeats, and more, while the long-term effects can be more serious in their consequences. And the situation gets worse, since instead of getting the medical attention that shidou would have needed after being shocked with the device to the point of unconsciousness, he was dragged into what the players called the punishment room, while he was still passed out. We were able to obtain footage from the punishment room, and shidou was restrained from head to toe against his will. You can clearly see that the student was under distress and asked multiple times to be released. And as shidou was not arrested for any crimes, Ego legally did not have the right to keep shidou under restrictions, and he shouldn't have been put into them in the first place. Ego said that shidou had a violent nature, and this was done for the safety of himself and the other players, but once again, there was definitely a law broken here, and this is a strike against Ego. My team attempted to reach out to shidou for comments about this situation, but we were unable to find where he was located at the point of filming. One of the worst cases against Ego is the case of the Wildcard Project, specifically the actions taken against kunigami rensuke. One element of the Blue Lock project that we have not mentioned is its elimination system. While Blue Lock was pitched as a physical improvement program, there was another element that Ego included into the program, which was after each selection, players would not only be eliminated from the project, but be banned from ever representing the national U20 Japan team, as enforced by the Japan Football Union, with Ego's suggestion. Not only were these students psychologically and physically tormented, but hundreds had their dreams crushed. And one of the worst victims of this case was the upcoming and talented player Kiyora. Ryosuke called the Jewel of Japan before joining Blue Lock and was even being scouted to join the Japan U18 team. Kiyora actually reached out to us after hearing that our team would be covering Ego in the program, and he told us the following statement: "I was eliminated from Blue Lock during a nonsensical game of tag. I didn't even get a real chance to play a game and show my skills before my dream of playing and representing my nation was taken from me. I only joined Blue Lock because I wanted to prove that Ego's methods students were wrong and that the Blue Lock project was a terrible idea. After all this time, I was finally proven right. And Kira's story is a sad one and similar to many others that joined Blue Lock in hopes of having their dreams achieved, but none of them quite get as dark as Kunigami. Before joining Blue Lock, Kunigami was considered by his friends, family, and peers to be a bright, young, and kind, lovely young man. His sister recalled stories of their older brother, telling them how he wanted to be a football superhero and inspire others, but that young man is now gone. During the second selection, Kunigami was eliminated, but instead of going back to his family, Ego revealed that there was another opportunity to get back into the project by entering into a wild card, and Kunigami accepted the offer. It's still unclear what exactly Kunigami and other possibly eliminated players endured during this project, since when we asked about what exactly happened during the wildcard program, Ego would only say that it was a physical test to create the best player to replicate a body that was similar to the #1 striker in the world, Noel Noah. While on the surface this might not sound too bad, seeing the before and after pictures of this young man shows that clearly more happened in the program, as Kunigami's personality completely changed and the people around him noticed other startling changes, such as his hair beginning to turn white. We even obtained images of him being put into some type of machine without the proper care of medical professionals. Kunigami's mother, who hadn't seen her son until months after he was out of wildcard, told us, "My sweet boy is gone. Ego and Blue Lock took him from us. This isn't what we signed up for. His sisters don't even recognize their big brother anymore." This is another crime against ego, traumatizing teenagers and completely changing their lives. We asked Kunigami's family if we could get a direct statement from him, but we were told that he's currently still recovering from the events that took place during the project, and they would like for him to have privacy at this time. In this next case, we see these students are in an unhealthy environment. Since these young students have to earn their meals, and depending on their ranking, they get healthy and nice meals, or if they're of a lower placement, then their meals are not enough, especially for growing teenage boys that are extremely athletic every single day. We won't reveal our sources, but we actually were able to get a picture of what the average food chart would look like for these students and what they would eat daily. While some students would get stir-fried meals, chicken, fish, other students, especially of lower rank, would suffer meals of just a fried egg. Yes, you heard me, not eggs, an egg, or even nado. The average teenage boy requires 2,800 calories per day, and with how much these players are moving, they're burning even more calories a day likely than the average person, so they likely require even more. But for example, with nado, the standard pack has about 110 calories on the higher end. So if a student was, say, eating 3 packs per day, that would still be way below what a teenage boy should be eating. And when parents were informed of this, they were horrified, assuming that with a project like this, it would assure that these young stars were eating healthy and nutritious meals would be at the top of the priority list, and called for Ego to be charged for withholding food from their children and neglecting them. We asked one parent that wanted to remain anonymous their opinion on this, and they said, "My son was often in the lower ranks, he told me, and he could only get a fried egg per meal, and how much he missed his mom's home cooking. I feel sick to my stomach that I didn't know this was going on. I thought it was sending him to better his future. Did you know that they had to earn to be able to even get their phones through goals? And he never scored, so he never could call us to tell us about any of this. How is this even legal? I want this ego person to get life in jail." Speaking of neglect, what about these students' education, you're probably thinking? I mean, these are all high school kids, and all 300 of them could not go pro. But at least if they get good grades, then they could get into a good university, get a good job as adults. But just like many other things in this project, the education was not the standard it needed to be. Since one of the first questions that the media had been asking is that wouldn't this project disrupt these high school students' lives? But but it was ensured that these students would still receive an education. And once again, we will not reveal our sources, but we were able to get actual footage of the quote-unquote education that these students were getting. And it was simply just giving these students videos to watch and to listen to. No actual teachers coming in to teach and test these students on their learnings. And to make it worse, these videos were not school board approved ones, but videos that Ego made. And checking into Ego's background, we were not able to find any degrees, certificates, or anything that would suggest Ego could properly teach these kids. And many students, once leaving the project, were behind on their studies, and we found that many of them had to redo their school year due to being too far behind. As known around the world, during the final stage of the Blue Lock project, the NEL, aka the Neo-Egoist League, was broadcast around the world with a show called Blue Lock TV. While millions around the world were enjoying this show, thinking it was a sports show displaying matches between these fictional teams, what might have not been made known to audiences is that the Blue Lock players were not made aware they were being filmed until the end of their first matches, meaning they were not aware that their lives were being filmed and profited off of, which is another strike against Ego. And this would also be a good time to bring up consent forms that all students and parents signed before joining the project. Since when initially the Football Japan Union was questioned how they were able to just take away these students, and were there not protests from their parents that they were being questioned from the media, the union would say that they got consent forms signed by all parents. We were actually able to get a copy of this consent form, and considering how long and how many things Ego did in this project, you would think this consent form would be pages long, but it was actually only one single page, and many of the things that we discussed in this video would not legally be okay just because a consent form was signed. We chatted to our law experts, and they said the consent form would likely be dismissed during the trial against Ego and not held as evidence in Ego's favor. But either way, it's not legal to film people, especially minors, without their knowledge, for it to be published and shared footage. And even more disturbing footage of these students is that they were filmed without clothing at some points during the podcast. One parent called Ego a sick and twisted person that should never see the light of day. We're almost at the end of our documentary, but we hope that we have shown you more than enough evidence of why the Blue Lock project is considered to be an ethical nightmare in modern day that should have never been made. As of the filming of this documentary, Ego has been arrested and is set to go on trial next year in the year 2027. While footage is a bit shaky, we were able to get recounts of this moment from a witness. Please tell us what you remember about the moment. As Ego was being dragged away from the crime scene, I remember an upset parent couldn't help but shout out at him and asked him one question: why? Most of us were not expecting a response as Ego was continuing to be dragged away by police, but one officer was able to tell us after the words that Ego had uttered in that very moment. He said, "I did it for them, the god of soccer." Is it done? Has Ego been arrested? Yes, madam. We have him at the station now. Thank goodness. You have to make sure that your boss keeps up his end of the details, though. If I give you all the details about Ego and the Blue Locked project, I'll have no legal involvement in the case. Ego can never find out that it was me that leaked all the information on him. Don't worry, Henri. He'll never know.